Good morning, Rabotai. Welcome to Breakfast on the Class. Breakfast on the Class today is dedicated in loving memory Yosef Haim Abramov, Leilu Nishmat Yosef ben Fortuna V'Meir, Alav Shalom, by his son and daughter Meir and Emily Abramov. Also dedicated this week, the learning for this entire week is dedicated by the Daniel S. Loeb Torah Center Diamond Donors Marciano family. In loving memory Leilu Nishmat Solomon Marciano's mother, Felicia Bat Miriam Marciano. Also, the year of Breakfast in the Class is dedicated in loving memory of Shmat Ruth Bat Adela or Fali, sponsored by her family. For the Rifuah Shlema of Chana Bat Simafeg and Eliyahu Shimon Mazaf Fortuné. Breakfast in the Class is dedicated in loving memory of Corey Adjemi's grandmother, Frida Haddad, Aliyah Shalom. Shmat Frida Bat Rosa, sponsored by Corey and Mark Adjemi. Breakfast in the Class also dedicated with the exciting and great news. We clearly see Hashem has selected a great friend of Israel as the President of the USA. We thank Hashem and would like to give a huge blessing to our dear President-elect Donald Trump. Hashem will always be with him, make the right decisions to bring peace and love around the world. May Hashem bless Donald Trump, the USA, Israel, and the entire world. Dedicated by Chaim Eisenstadt. Those are all comments directly from this the dedication. Chazak Baruch. Also dedicated in loving memory of Tzvi, David Ben Leah and Shlomo Elias on his Askara, sponsored by his son Ben Zion Elias. And finally, the week of Breakfast in the Class, sponsored by Stephen Galapo, dedicated for a speedy and complete refuah shlema for his dear friend Rafael Yaish Ben Hana V'Yosef. Okay, let us begin. We also want to welcome some long-time listeners, first-time attenders. Welcome, good to have you with us. Okay, let us begin. There's a beautiful and powerful message that I believe resonates on so many different levels for so many different people, no matter what their background is, no matter who they voted for, no matter which party they call home, no matter what they believe in. Everything, I believe, emanates from this beautiful, beautiful concept. And it can be understood in both directions, forward and backward. So let's take a look. We read the other day, this beautiful and controversial piece from the Ramban, bolstered by the Arizal Al-Pi Kabbalah. And is a fascinating insight into the concept of emunah, especially when it comes to someone of the stature of Avraham Avinu. However, today I want to take a little bit of a different direction, pardon the pun. We already have established through the first few days of our learning together that the idea of Lech Lecha was a global idea. God wasn't telling Avraham just to travel so he could clock miles on his pedometer and count steps, but rather God was asking from Avraham Avinu to take on a journey that is so essential, not only to Avraham's future, but to the very nature of what it means to be a Jew. That is the idea of the travel of Avraham Avinu, making some form of journey to discover Lech Lecha, to discover one's self. That was the idea that we've talked a little bit about in the early classes of this week. However, I'd like to share perhaps what seems to be a follow-up idea. And we talked about the centrality of what travel means and journeying means to the Jewish person. The wandering Jew is not something that a Jewish person has in between him not traveling, but rather it seems to be a perpetual state of Am Yisrael. No matter what country we come from, we're always in this state of travel. It's a crazy thing to think. We never stop moving. So one is liable to think of that idea in the form of a punishment, okay? So in other words, you did something wrong, now you go into exile, you're chased out of Israel, and you go to Babylonia, you're chased out of Israel, you're in the Roman exile, so look, here we are, we're traveling again. Hit the road, Jack, and all of that. But my friends, I think there's something that people maybe are missing here. And that is that the travel and the journey is so essential, not only to the first Jew, but to every Jew, and that it's not something that only happens in the sphere of punishment. It's something that is necessary every minute of every day of the life of a Jewish person. So let's take a look at where this idea is coming from. Avraham Avinu was commanded by Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Lech Lecha ma'aretzecha, to travel from his land, from his birthplace, Bet Avicha, from the house of his father. Where is he supposed to travel to? El haaretz asher areka, to the land that I'm going to show you. The very fact that the land I'm going to show you is not revealed also expresses this concept. Don't think that you will ever arrive. There's no point at which you're home. Even when you're home, a Jew is obligated, a Jew is meant to be restless. Not so much as a mitzvah, but as an essential component of what he or she is. Now, let's see, like I said, how we get there. Avram finally reaches the land of Israel. And what happens when he reaches the land of Israel? Vayihi ra'av ba'aretz. And there's a famine in the land. And what does Avram do? After traveling so far to get to this place that he was supposed to get to, he's home. He's in the land of Israel. But now there's a famine. So he packs up his bags and he tells his wife, we need to go, and they go down to Egypt because there's food in Egypt. Ramban had his perspective that we discussed 2 days ago. But I'd like to share perhaps another angle, another lens of viewing this. Vayihi ra'av ba'aretz, Avram has to travel again, and he goes to Egypt. I mean, I would be very upset. You asked me to go, you didn't tell me where. I finally got there. I find out that the land where I'm supposed to get to is the land of Israel. As soon as I get there and I'm settled, what happens? Now you're throwing a famine at me? Now I have to leave the place that I was in before? Maybe, and I think that this is the crux of the issue. Maybe the land Avram is supposed to go to is not Israel. No. You see, the first way you look at it is the land he was going to was Israel. However, Hashem didn't tell him where he was going to go so that he would get more reward for going there. But actually, when he gets to Israel, he needs to travel again. So my friends, Vayihi ra'av ba'aretz is communicating that Avraham Avinu, if you think that you've arrived, I need to shake you out of that place again. It was Am Yisrael's land. It was our place. It was where we were going to grow old. It was where we were going to have the 2 temples. It was where we will go again, Be'ezrat Hashem, as an entire nation from wherever we live on earth, in the time of Mashiach. It is that place. But the journey of Avraham, where's the Aretz Asher Areka? Where's the promised land? Where's the end of your journey? Where does it end? The answer is it doesn't. The Aretz Asher Areka is wherever you are, right here, right now. This is the promised land. This is where you're supposed to be, because the journey never ends. Now, let me try and express what I hope people will take away from this concept. The word Areka is spelled Aleph Resh, Aleph Chaf. Okay? Aleph Resh, Aleph Chaf. Which is fascinating because it's exactly the same numerical value as the word Barech, which is 222. Aleph 1, Resh 200, 1 and Chaf and 20 is 222. Barech, which means to be blessed, is Bet 2, Resh 200, Chaf 20. Exactly 222. The concept of Areka is Hashem is telling you, you know where Beracha can be found? Beracha can be found in the place I will show you. I feel like in our lives, we're really always waiting for that. A person is single and they're looking to date, they're looking to find love. What are they waiting for from Hashem? We're going along, we're getting along. I don't know, but is this the person? Is this the one I should commit to? Is this the relationship? You know, a person has children. They don't know how to educate those children, which school to send them to. They don't know about Parnassah. Will they have enough money? They have to make decisions based on the money that they have. And all the time, aren't we looking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and asking for God's guidance? God tells Avraham Avinu, you're never going to stop traveling. But you should always know that wherever you are in your travels, Areka, you'll be blessed when you'll think, when you'll know, when you'll feel that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will show you. Now, what does it mean to be shown the direction you're supposed to be led in? How does a person know? What do you do if you don't have, a local Orthodox prophet who's going to express to you and tell you exactly what Hashem means for you today. How will you know? And the answer is, God does not only speak through a Navi. The most direct form of prophecy is through a Navi. But God can speak to you in any way He chooses. I always love this bit of the Talmud that I think most people misunderstand. The Talmud says that in the time of Mashiach, there will be no prophecy. But how will prophecy come to the world? Through children and those that are mentally unwell. Now, I remember reading that for the first time, and I was like, that guy that you see in town, standing on a box, the end is near. He's the guy. I think what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to communicate is, you think that you're so wise, and you're so seasoned by how much you know, how much you've learned, how smart you are. And that smart can come from a place of education. It can come from a place of life experience. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu communicates that in the time of Mashiach, a person will recognize that God's signs can come from anyone or anything. It's not that that person is prophesizing on their own merit, on their own skill, on their own holiness. It's that that person is a tool, is a vessel in God's arsenal to be able to talk to you. You can't understand this unless you're a parent. What I'm going to say next. And not even if you're a parent of the youngest of children. They need to be Let's talk about prophecy and guidance from young children. I could see Avi's already sweating. You're sitting at home and your kid climbs up on your lap and says, "I'm so happy to see you, Daddy." He gives you a big hug. Very nice. Then your kid looks at you, they're 5 years old, and they say, "I only really get to hug Mommy because Daddy, you're never home. And whenever you're home, you're too busy to give me hugs." These kids know how to rip your heart out, don't they? That's prophecy. And if you look at the child and you say, he's immature, doesn't know what he's talking about, then you're missing that message. You're being told that you're not present enough. And the message is coming through the mouth of a 5-year-old. And it might not have come in the way that you would thought it would come, but that's where it's coming from. You're sitting on the street and you see a father walking with his daughter, and the kids sitting there on their knees like only little kids can on the sidewalk, counting ants. 2, 3, 4, and there's like 9,000 ants. You're looking over, you're having a panic attack, it's not even your kid. Is she going to count all of those? But then you look up and you see the father sitting there, or the mother sitting there, all the time in the world. And you smile. And you think to yourself, wow, look at that. A parent who has enough time for their child. And maybe the message is not even about children. Maybe you look at this and you see, wow, beautiful. Love is patience. That's prophecy. God is always leading us to places. El haaretz asher areka. Blessing can be found in a person's life when their antennas are up to hear what Hashem is saying. But oftentimes, because the prophecy doesn't come from the place we think prophecy should come, so we ignore it. I mentioned the other day, I got a wild letter in the mail, handwritten. The letter is written by, I open up the letter, again, handwritten, hand addressed to me. I open it up, take out the letter. On the front cover of the letter is a cross. Okay, don't always get that as a rabbi. Open up the letter. It's a letter written, 2 business cards fall out. I pick up the business cards before I read the letter. It's 2 business cards for 2 local churches. I'm thinking you guys are fishing in the wrong pond, right? You know, I'm the rabbi of a shul. I don't know if... And then I read the letter. And the letter said, today, on October 7th, we just wanted you to know and to reassure you that we and our communities are taking today as a day of prayer and fasting. So that God should protect. Beautiful letter. These guys are fasting for us. Again, these are 2 pastors. I felt it was beautiful gesture, yeah? But what is Hashem saying to me through them? What is he saying? Is he maybe reassuring me that the street that has been so anti-Semitic, you know, that all those noises that we're hearing is not everyone? Is that what he's telling me? So I feel that the job of a person oftentimes is to be able to create, and again, I hope this is understood in the vein in which I mean it. The job of a person sometimes is to be able to create enough quiet around them that when something comes their way, not only do they notice it, but that they know how to interpret it. When the Jewish people come down to Egypt, we read about Yosef. That Yosef becomes the second in command to Paro. And our sages tell us that Yosef was suddenly gifted on the night before he goes to visit with Paro. He's gifted with a visit from an angel. And what does the angel tell him? What does the angel teach Yosef? Does anyone know? Excellent. He's visited by the angel. I don't know. I mean, it tells us what the angel's name is, but in my mind, the angel's called Duolingo El. But either way, okay? He comes and he explains and he teaches Yosef 70 different languages. Yosef knows, on top of that language, he also knows Lashon Kodesh, the Hebrew language. And the sages explained to us that the next day when he went to Pharaoh, all of a sudden remember Pharaoh says, wow, and what a wise person. I never saw someone so, right? In fact, Paro actually calls Yosef Av Rech. Av, he's a father in wisdom. Rach, soft in years. Well, he was so impressed because he said that 7 cows means 7 years. That made him think that this guy's a genius. I mean, that makes me think that I should invest in him and open up a psychic shop on the boardwalk. Like, you know, that I told you that story of my father, right? We went on July 4th to the boardwalk in Asbury Park. And in the boardwalk in Asbury Park, there's a psychic store over there. And we're sitting there waiting. We don't know what time the fireworks are going off. Madame something, I forget. Is that? Okay, Madame Tussauds, that's the wax museum. Madam something, I don't know. Okay, right? But it's there. It's like a famous place. The name is escaping me now. Anyway, so my father's getting restless. We're sitting there with the kids. It's already 9 o'clock, 9:15, 9:30. So he knocks on the door. And she's got psychic readings all out in the front and da-da-da. And he opens the door. She says to my father, "Would you like a reading?" My father says, "No, thanks. I'm good." Right? She says, "Okay, so how can I help you?" He says, do you know what time the fireworks are? She said, no. He says, how are you going to tell me the future if you don't know what time the fireworks are? So Yosef is maybe, a psychic. He's Avrech. So perhaps the idea was that Yosef was someone who was able to show you, Paro, that he spoke all these languages. But I think there's something deeper here. I think what Paro was picking up on correctly was that it wasn't just that Yosef spoke 70 different languages. It was that he had an understanding of all the different types of people from all the different types of cultures. That's what Paro saw in Yosef. And that's why the speaking of all those languages indicated to him that this was such a wise person. There are two things that a person needs to do if they're trying to divine, to understand where Hashem is guiding them. When God puts a stumbling block in front of you, in front of a business deal, in front of a relationship, what is he doing? Is he telling you to not go forward? Or is he testing your commitment to go through anyway? What is the message? How's a person supposed to know? So all of a sudden it's difficult. Oh, Hashem was showing me that I shouldn't go down this path. Because if he wanted to go down this path, it's easy. Right, is that the message? You have some people, they go on a few dates, however long. You ask them, how's it going? I don't know, it's too perfect. I was like, oh, you must be Jewish. It's too good, there's no issues. I don't know, I'm nervous. You can have a guy who everything is perfect, and what's he nervous about? The fact that, exactly. What's the red flag? The fact that there are no red flags. Nobody doesn't have any red flags. You're supposed to know what Hashem wants from you. I know I'm supposed to be constantly moving, constantly growing. I know that. But Hashem, where do you want me to grow? This direction, that direction. More chesed, more Torah, more prayer, more introspection, more self-healing, more what am I going for me? And when he sends you a message, you don't know how to read it. So, there's a phrase they use in management. Well, they use it in a lot of things. It's the initials, KISS. You don't know what that stands for? Excellent. Keep it simple, stupid. By the way, I'm just curious. I'm a very weird guy, by the way. My brain runs on tangents while I'm talking. So the only thing I was thinking is, does a guy who knows that keep it simple, stupid, does the guy who knows what that stands for feel smart or stupid? Either way, my point is, what does keep it simple, stupid mean? You're overcomplicating this. Should I call? Should I not call her? Should I follow up with the boss? Should I not follow up with the boss? If I follow up, it's desperate. If I don't follow up, it seems like I don't care enough. So a person could drive themselves crazy. The answer is, prophecy is found with children and those that are not stable and not sane. Stop overthinking it. Hashem is sending you a message. Stop overthinking it. Feel it. Feel it. Let me explain how powerful this idea is. That in the time of Mashiach, prophecy is given to the young and those with no intellect. I don't know if you've ever held a baby and smiled at the baby. Baby, obviously not right when they're born. They've just gone on their own traumatic journey, okay? But a little while after they're born, you smile at a baby, what does a baby do? Smiles back. What happens if you do this to a baby? The baby will cry. They have no knowledge of what a smile means. They have not figured out what the world means. They don't know anything. And the answer is, it doesn't matter. They already in tune enough to be able to understand, to feel that a smile is happy days. Oftentimes, a person is overthinking what Hashem is telling them, and they're not getting it. The Chachamim tell us that one of the most powerful things of Avram's faith was the fact that he didn't ask questions. Now, that sounds sacrilegious to Jewish people. Judaism is built on asking questions. So how could the first Jew be praised for not asking questions? That when God told him to go, Abraham is not like, just to be clear, because you told me to come here and now there's a famine. So Avram doesn't ask Hashem. When Hashem commands him to do something, he does it. The concept, my friends, is that when something is clear, there aren't questions. When something needs to be asked, ask as many questions as you want. And Abraham does later on. Avram says, God, you're promising my children something. How will I know what my children will be like? How will I know that they'll deserve the blessing you're giving? That they'll have this connection? How do I know? But sometimes we allow our questions, which we pretend is clarification, but is actually just a tool of our fear, of our insecurities, to paralyze us into inaction. I'm scared of taking a step forward. So what do I say? I'm not sure. I'm confused. Are you? Or are you scared? Are you unsure of what the next step, or do you know what the next step is? But are you using a question to protect yourself from taking a step that you're scared of taking? Trusting that God is showing you the way, Ar'eka is Gematria Barech. My friends, this never stops. You grow to a place of religion, and you feel great about that place. The journey is not over. In fact, if I'm still in the same place I was yesterday, 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 2 years ago, 2 decades ago, then I'm not actualizing, I'm not using my days, my time. I'm not. And I want to express this even more clearly. A person's growing up. What's their first journey? They want to find someone to settle down with. Now let's say Baruch Hashem, they found that person. What's their next journey? They want to build a family. Now, what's their next journey? They want to make sure that they have enough resources for that family. Whatever order you take, there's relatively simple, straightforward steps. But then all of a sudden, a person's taking care of this. They did the journey of self-reliance, of parnasah. They did the journey of a partner. They did the journey of a family. And then all of a sudden they get hit with a midlife crisis. And all of a sudden, what does the guy do? He goes and buys himself a Porsche. What does this woman do? She goes and has full-on surgery to chase her younger days. What's happening? What's happening is that the soul is restless. The soul needs to be growing in order to feel balance. Your soul is like a bicycle. If it stops, it falls. The only way for it to stay up is for it to be moving constantly forward. And that gives it its balance and equilibrium. So you spend your first journey, your second journey, your third journey, and then all of a sudden you feel this emptiness, and then the guy goes and buys a Porsche because he doesn't feel like he has purpose or direction or whatever, or this woman does this or she does that or she does whatever they do. You know what that emptiness is? It's not a dissatisfaction with what you have. Your cup is not empty. So why do you feel empty? The answer is because as you grow older, as you've conquered those tests, God gives you a bigger vessel So pour what you had that was up to the top in this cup, pour it into a pitcher. And now what happens? It feels empty. Your emptiness is not a sign that you don't have value and accomplishment and success and things to be proud of in your life. Your emptiness is the fact that your vessel is now bigger. And in a bigger vessel, what satisfied you and filled you up yesterday is now not enough. But that ever-continuing journey of going to one place and finally getting there, and then there's Ra'av Ba'aretz, and then needing to move to the next place, that's not a sign that I'm lost. Rather, it was a sign to the Jewish people that we should be at home on the road. That our lives should be like a Winnebago. That we should always be at home as we travel. And we should always feel comfortable as we take on new things. And as we finally feel like we have a grip and everything's easy and it comes second nature, we realize, I can't stay here. I need to go to the next step. I took on eating kosher in the house. Okay, great. What's next? Kosher in the restaurant. Okay, well, okay, it's hard, Okay, so start with the non-kosher meat. Start with the pig. I don't know what you want. Whatever that works for you. It's not my job to take and build your ladder. But it is your job. And I want you to imagine that in the back of your mind, you have two giant long sticks and an infinite number of smaller sticks. And you build a ladder with the space between steps as small or as large as what you're ready to be able to do. But every day needs to begin. You start your day, and this is a visualization you should have in the morning, with another peg in your hand and a hammer in the other hand, in your mind. And you're going to set where that is. How much higher? There are times when we feel so strong and so sure that we could set that next peg 10 feet ahead and feel great about that jump. And there's times when it's 10 inches. And there's times when it's not even 1 inch. What is growth when I cannot do one single thing more? I still pick up that peg and I nail it in right next to the peg that was already where I was. And if I can't build forward, I build stability. And if yesterday I gave $1 to tzedakah, today I give $1 with a smile. That, my friends, is the process of never being home, but being home on the road. Hashem should bless us, Be'ezrat Hashem, as we enter into a new period. No matter what it was that you voted for or that you hoped for, we are now in a new reality for everyone. What is your job in your new reality? Don't be afraid. Don't be overly happy. If you had what you want, don't be overly sad if you didn't get what you want. We were built for this. We were built to be at home on the road. No matter where life takes us, you will be okay. You'll be great. Your family will grow. Your commitment will grow. Your success will grow. So long as you know that you never needed a place or a result or an outcome, no matter what it was, to be able to be successful, to be able to be you. Baruch Hanei Le'olam, Amen v'Amen. Rabotai, after Rabbi Chananya, we're going to hear some words of wisdom from the great, the one, the only, Rabbi Ruvain Abragamov. Baruch Hanei Le'olam, Amen v'Amen. Rabbi Chananya ben Akasha Omer, Ratzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu